Wildlife keeper stops, brutal attack between her dogs and a furious lioness with her bare hands. The morning started like any other at the Riverside Wildlife Sanctuary in rural Montana, but Rebecca Hayes had learned long ago that in her line of work, routine was an illusion that could shatter in an instant. At 38 years old, she had spent 15 years working with rescued exotic animals, and her gut instinct had saved her life more times than she could count. That morning, as she walked toward the enclosures with her team of 8 pit bulls trailing behind her, that instinct was screaming that something was terribly wrong. The dogs sensed it too. Brutus, her lead male, stopped suddenly on the path, his muscular body going rigid, ears pinned back. The others followed suit, forming a tight pack around Rebecca's legs, their low growls rumbling like distant thunder. These weren't ordinary pit bulls. They were specially trained guardian dogs, bred and raised to protect the sanctuary from predators and help manage the more dangerous animals. They had faced down bears, wolves, and mountain lions without flinching. But Rebecca had never seen them this agitated. "Easy, boys. Easy, girls." She spoke in a low, calm voice, her hand instinctively moving to the radio clipped to her belt. Something was out there, something that had triggered every predatory alarm in her dogs, ancient DNA. Then she heard it, a sound that made her blood run cold. The distinctive, guttural roar of a lion, but not from inside the enclosures where it should be. It was coming from the open field ahead, beyond the tree line. Rebecca's heart slammed against her ribs as realization hit her like a physical blow. Sheba had escaped. Sheba was a 12-year-old lioness who had been rescued from an illegal breeding facility 3 years ago. She'd come to the sanctuary traumatized, aggressive, and deeply mistrustful of humans. Rebecca had spent countless hours working with her, slowly building a fragile bridge of trust. But Sheba was still wild, still dangerous, still carrying the scars of abuse that made her unpredictable on her best days. And this, Rebecca knew with sickening certainty, was not going to be one of her best days. She grabbed her radio. Code red. "Sheba is out." Repeat. "Sheba is out of her enclosure. I'm at the Northfield path. Get the tranquilizer team here now." Her voice was steady, despite the fear coursing through her veins like ice water. "Rebecca, get out of there. Move to safe distance immediately." Marcus, the sanctuary director, responded with barely controlled panic in his voice. "I have the dogs with me. If I run, they'll chase. If they chase, Sheba will attack. We need to hold position." Rebecca was already assessing the situation, her mind working through scenarios and outcomes at lightning speed. Before Marcus could respond, Sheba emerged from the tree line 50 yards ahead. The lioness was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure, her tawny coat rippling over powerful muscles, her amber eyes locked onto the pack of dogs with predatory focus, her lips pulled back to reveal enormous canines, still stained with what looked like blood. She had killed something, probably one of the deer that wandered onto the sanctuary property. She was in full predator mode, adrenaline and aggression pumping through her system. The dogs exploded into a frenzy of barking, their bodies coiled like springs ready to launch. Rebecca felt Brutus surge forward, straining against his training, his prey drive awakening at the sight of the massive cat. The other dogs followed his lead, forming a semicircle around Rebecca, their barking reaching a fever pitch that echoed across the field. Sheba roared in response, the sound so powerful that Rebecca felt it vibrate in her chest cavity. The lioness dropped into a crouch, her tail lashing back and forth, her shoulder blades protruding as she prepared to charge. This was the nightmare scenario Rebecca had trained for, but prayed would never happen. 8 fighting dogs against a 400-pound lioness. It would be a massacre on both sides. "No, Brutus, heel!" Rebecca commanded with every ounce of authority she could muster. But the dog's primal instincts were overriding his training. The other dogs were feeding off his energy, working themselves into an attack frenzy. Time seemed to slow down. Rebecca saw Sheba's muscles bunch, saw her rear legs dig into the earth for purchase. She saw Duke, one of her younger males, break formation and sprint forward, his teeth bared, ready to defend his pack leader. And she saw with crystal clarity that in approximately 3 seconds, this field was going to become a battleground that would end with dead animals on both sides and possibly her own death in the crossfire. So Rebecca Hayes did the only thing she could do. The thing that every instinct, every survival mechanism in her body screamed against. She ran forward, directly into the space between the charging dog and the crouching lioness, and threw her arms wide. "Stop!" Her voice exploded across the field with a force she didn't know she possessed. Duke skidded to a halt inches from her legs, confused and agitated, dancing on his front paws, wanting desperately to continue his charge. Behind her, Rebecca could hear Sheba's snarl intensify, could imagine those powerful back legs coiling tighter, preparing to launch 400 pounds of muscle and fury directly at her exposed back. Rebecca didn't turn around. She kept her eyes locked on her dogs, her arms still spread wide in a universal gesture that transcended species. "Stop, stay, hold. Brutus, I need you. I need you to trust me right now." She spoke with forced calm, even as sweat poured down her spine, and every nerve in her body screamed at her to run. "Duke, back. Luna, Zeus, Athena, back, now." The dogs responded to their names, their training momentarily breaking through the red haze of aggression. They took hesitant steps backward, whining with frustration and confusion, their eyes darting between Rebecca and the lioness behind her. Only then did Rebecca slowly, carefully, turn to face Sheba. The lioness was 15 feet away, her body still coiled to spring, saliva dripping from her exposed fangs. Their eyes met, and Rebecca saw something that broke her heart, even as it terrified her. She saw fear, not the fear of prey, but the fear of a traumatized animal backed into a corner, an animal who had learned that humans meant pain and confinement. An animal who was moments away from making a choice that would likely result in her death at the hands of the tranquilizer team that was surely racing toward this location. "Sheba, it's me. It's Rebecca." She spoke softly, keeping her arms spread wide but lowering them slightly, making herself smaller, less threatening. "I know you're scared. I know those dogs scared you. But I'm here now. I'm here. And I'm not going to let anything hurt you." Behind her, she could hear her dogs still growling, could feel their barely contained aggression like a physical pressure against her back. She was caught between two primal forces, each capable of tearing her apart, each operating on instinct and adrenaline rather than reason. Sheba's ears flattened against her skull. She took one slow step forward, her massive paw making no sound on the grass. Rebecca's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst. Every muscle in her body was screaming at her to move, to run, to do something other than stand frozen in the kill zone of an apex predator. But she remained perfectly still, her eyes never leaving Sheba's face. "That's right, girl. You remember me, don't you? I'm the one who brings you the good meat. I'm the one who sits outside your enclosure and reads to you. I'm the one who has never, ever hurt you." Rebecca's voice was hypnotic, soothing, the same voice she had used during hundreds of training sessions. Another step. Sheba was now 12 feet away, close enough that Rebecca could see the individual whiskers on her muzzle, could smell the metallic scent of blood on her breath. The lioness's pupils were dilated, her breathing rapid and shallow. Every line of her body screamed attack, but she hadn't launched herself yet. That hesitation, that tiny moment of recognition, was the only thing keeping Rebecca alive. "Good girl, Sheba. That's my good girl." Rebecca continued her steady stream of calm words, even as her own breathing became ragged with fear. "We're going to work this out. Nobody needs to get hurt today." Behind her, Brutus let out a warning bark, and Sheba's attention immediately snapped to the dogs. Her haunches tensed again, and Rebecca saw her opportunity slipping away. If the dogs reacted, if they broke their tenuous hold on discipline, Sheba would attack. And once that happened, there would be no stopping it. "Quiet," Rebecca commanded without turning around, her voice sharp as a whip crack. "All of you down, now!" To her immense relief, she heard the heavy thuds of 8 muscular bodies hitting the ground behind her. Her dogs, despite every instinct howling at them to fight, obeyed. They trusted her more than they trusted their own survival instincts. The weight of that trust, the responsibility of it, nearly broke her composure. Sheba's ears twitched forward slightly, a subtle shift that Rebecca had learned to recognize during their years together. Confusion. The lioness was confused by the sudden silence, by the disappearance of the immediate threat. Her roar subsided into a low, continuous growl, but her muscles relaxed incrementally. "That's right, baby. See? They're not going to hurt you. I'm not going to let them hurt you." Rebecca took the biggest risk yet. She slowly lowered her arms to her sides, making herself even less threatening, making herself vulnerable. It was a calculated gamble based on 15 years of experience and hundreds of hours spent with this particular animal. Sheba took another step closer, 10 feet now. If she decided to attack, Rebecca wouldn't even have time to scream before those jaws closed around her throat. But the lioness's body language was shifting, the rigid aggression softening into something more complex. Wariness, uncertainty, and underneath it all, if Rebecca was reading her correctly, a desperate need for reassurance. "You got out of your enclosure, didn't you? Something scared you and you ran. And then you found a deer and your instincts took over. You did what lions do. There's no shame in that." Rebecca kept talking, her voice steady and low. She could hear distant shouts now, the sound of vehicles approaching. The tranquilizer team was coming, and they would shoot Sheba on sight if they perceived her as a threat. Rebecca had maybe 2 minutes to de-escalate this situation before it turned lethal. Sheba was 8 feet away now, so close that Rebecca could see the old scars on her muzzle from her time in the breeding facility, the places where the fur had never grown back quite right. The lioness's tail had stopped its aggressive lashing and now swayed slowly, a less hostile signal. Her growl had dropped to a low rumble that could almost be mistaken for the churring sound she made when Rebecca brought her favorite food. "I know they hurt you before. I know humans hurt you, kept you in a tiny cage, treated you like you were nothing. But I'm not them, Sheba. You know I'm not them." Rebecca's eyes were beginning to burn with tears, though whether from fear or emotion she couldn't tell. "I have never hurt you. I never will." The lioness stopped advancing. For a long, eternal moment, they simply stood there, woman and apex predator, separated by 6 feet of grass and an entire evolutionary history that said this moment should not be possible. Rebecca could see Sheba's sides heaving, could hear the rapid panting that indicated the lioness was experiencing her own version of fear and adrenaline crash. Then Sheba did something that Rebecca would replay in her mind for the rest of her life. The lioness sat down. Just like that, her rear legs folded beneath her, and she sat, her tail curled around her massive paws, her head tilted slightly to the side in an almost quizzical expression. It was a posture Rebecca had seen hundreds of times during their training sessions, a posture that meant Sheba was listening, was engaged, was present in the moment, rather than lost in fear or aggression. "Oh, thank God," Rebecca breathed out, her knees nearly buckling with relief. "Thank God, baby girl. You're okay. We're okay." She heard the vehicles pulling up behind her, heard Marcus shouting orders to hold fire, heard the metallic click of tranquilizer guns being readied, but she didn't turn around, didn't break eye contact with Sheba. "Rebecca, status," Marcus called out, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. "Hold your fire. She's calm. She's sitting. "Everyone stay in the vehicles and do not make any sudden movements," Rebecca replied, her voice surprisingly steady. "The dogs are down. Sheba is responsive. I can bring her in. Like hell you can. Get out of there so we can trank her. If you shoot her right now, she'll panic and attack. And then you'll have to put her down permanently. Is that what you want, Marcus?" Rebecca kept her eyes locked on Sheba as she spoke. "Give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes to do what I've been training for." There was a long pause, then a reluctant, 5 minutes. But if she moves aggressively, we're taking the shot. Rebecca took a slow, careful breath and then did something that made everyone watching hold their breath in horror. She knelt down. She made herself small, made herself low, putting herself on Sheba's level. It was a position of vulnerability that went against every safety protocol, but Rebecca knew something the others didn't. She knew that Sheba responded to submission, to non-threatening postures, because submission meant safety in the lioness's traumatized mind. "Hey, gorgeous. Look at you, sitting so pretty." Rebecca spoke softly, her hands resting on her thighs, making no threatening gestures. "You remember this, don't you? This is what we do. You sit, I sit. We just exist together. No pressure, no fear, just us." Sheba's ears rotated forward, fully attentive now. The lioness made a soft chuffing sound, not quite friendly but no longer hostile. It was a sound Rebecca had worked months to earn, a sound that indicated Sheba was thinking rather than reacting. Behind Rebecca, Brutus whined softly, concerned for his human who was now kneeling in front of a predator that could kill her with a single swipe of those massive paws. Rebecca risked a quick glance back. "Stay, Brutus. Good boy. All of you stay. This is almost over," she turned back to Sheba. "You've been so brave, baby. So brave. But you're tired now, aren't you? You're tired and confused, and you just want to go somewhere safe and quiet." The lioness's eyes were beginning to half close, the adrenaline finally wearing off, exhaustion setting in. Rebecca recognized the signs. The predatory aggression was fading, replaced by the vulnerable animal underneath, the traumatized soul who just wanted security. "I'm going to stand up now, nice and slow. And then I'm going to walk toward your enclosure and you're going to follow me, just like we've practiced, just like always." Rebecca began to rise, moving with glacial slowness, her movements fluid and unthreatening. Sheba watched but didn't react aggressively. When Rebecca was fully standing, she took one careful step backward, then another. The lioness remained sitting, watching, processing. "Come on, girl. Let's go home." Rebecca turned slightly, presenting her side rather than her back, a less vulnerable position. She began walking at an angle toward the sanctuary buildings, moving slowly enough that Sheba could follow but confidently enough to project calm leadership. For 3 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Rebecca continued her slow walk, her heart hammering so hard she thought everyone in the field could hear it. She didn't look back, didn't check to see if Sheba was following. That would signal doubt, would break the spell of calm authority she was projecting. Then she heard it, the soft padding of enormous paws on grass. Sheba was following. Rebecca's eyes burned with tears she couldn't allow herself to shed yet. Behind them, at a safe distance, she could hear her dogs rising to their feet, their nails clicking on the ground as they too began to move. Brutus let out a soft whine, but none of them barked. None of them broke formation. They understood, in that mysterious way dogs sometimes do, that their human was engaged in something delicate and dangerous, something that required absolute trust. "That's my girl, Sheba. That's my beautiful girl." Rebecca kept talking, her voice steady and warm. "We're just going for a walk, a nice, easy walk back to your home where you can rest and feel safe." The walk across that field was the longest 200 yards of Rebecca's life. Every step felt like it took an hour. She could hear Marcus and the others following in the vehicles, moving at a crawl, tranquilizer guns ready but not raised. To their credit, they trusted her enough to let this play out, even though every protocol screamed that what she was doing was insane. As they approached the sanctuary buildings, Rebecca could see that the gate to Sheba's enclosure was indeed standing open. One of the locking mechanisms had failed, probably corroded from last week's heavy rains. It was a maintenance issue that would have been caught if the sanctuary wasn't constantly operating on a shoestring budget. Rebecca made a mental note to address it later. If there was a later, if she survived this. Almost there, sweetheart. See your enclosure. See your favorite sleeping platform. The one with the soft blankets. Rebecca kept her voice light and conversational as she guided them around the corner of the main building. Sheba made a low sound, something between a growl and a purr. Rebecca recognized it as the lioness's expression of anticipation mixed with wariness. They were close now, so close. The open gate was just 20 feet ahead, but then everything went wrong in an instant. A young volunteer, a college student named Tyler, who had started just last week, came around the corner from the other direction carrying a bucket of fish for the sanctuary's seals. He froze when he saw them, his eyes going wide with terror. The bucket slipped from his hands, hitting the concrete with a tremendous metallic crash that echoed across the compound like a gunshot. Sheba exploded into motion. The lioness spun toward the sound, her prey drive instantly reawakened, her body dropping into a hunting crouch. Tyler screamed and ran, which was the absolute worst thing he could have done. Running prey triggered every hunting instinct in Sheba's powerful frame. No! Rebecca didn't think, didn't plan, just acted. She threw herself between the charging lioness and the fleeing volunteer. Her arms spread wide again, this time not in calm authority, but in desperate protection. Sheba, no! Stop! The lioness was already mid-leap when Rebecca's command registered. 400 pounds of muscle and fury, airborne, teeth bared, claws extended. There was no way she could stop completely, not with that much momentum. But Sheba tried. At the last possible second, the lioness twisted her body in mid-air, trying to redirect, trying to avoid her caretaker. They collided anyway. The impact drove Rebecca to the ground, Sheba's massive weight crashing into her chest and left shoulder. She felt something crack, felt the air explode from her lungs, felt claws rake across her arm as the lioness struggled to find purchase on the concrete. For one terrible moment, she was pinned beneath 350 pounds of apex predator, staring directly into those amber eyes from inches away. Sheba's hot breath on her face. Time froze. This was it. This was how it ended. Trampled beneath the animal she had tried to save, Rebecca couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only stare up at the lioness above her and wait for those jaws to close on her throat. But they didn't. Sheba's eyes, wild and panicked, suddenly focused on Rebecca's face, on the woman who had never hurt her, who had sat outside her enclosure for hours, reading aloud just so she wouldn't be lonely, who had fought for extra funding to improve her living space, who had just put her own body in harm's way to protect both Sheba and a foolish volunteer. The lioness made a sound Rebecca had never heard before, a keening, distressed cry that was almost human in its emotional complexity. Then Sheba did something that made everyone watching question whether they were truly seeing what their eyes reported. The lioness carefully stepped off Rebecca, her massive paws placed with exquisite precision to avoid causing further injury. She circled once, like an anxious dog, then lay down directly beside Rebecca's prone body, and then Sheba pressed her enormous head against Rebecca's chest, right over her heart, and began to make a sound that was unmistakably a purr. Rebecca, still unable to fully catch her breath, raised her uninjured arm and placed it on Sheba's massive head. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice breaking. It's okay, baby. I know you didn't mean it. I know you were scared. Marcus and the team rushed forward, but Rebecca raised her hand weakly to stop them. She's not aggressive. She's apologizing. Rebecca managed to gasp out, "Give me a minute." Sheba's purr intensified, vibrating through Rebecca's battered ribcage. The lioness pressed closer, her whole massive body curled protectively around her caretaker, as if trying to shield Rebecca from any further harm. It was a gesture of such profound remorse and affection that several of the watching staff members began to cry. "You're forgiven," Rebecca whispered into one rounded ear. "You're forgiven, beautiful girl. But we need to get you back in your enclosure now, okay? I need medical attention, and you need to rest." As if understanding every word, Sheba stood up slowly. She looked at her enclosure gate, then back at Rebecca, then at the gate again. Without any further prompting, the lioness walked calmly through the open gate and lay down on her favorite platform. Marcus immediately closed and secured the gate, his hands shaking, while two paramedics rushed to Rebecca's side. But before they could start their examination, Rebecca pushed herself to sitting, despite the screaming pain in her shoulder and ribs. "Brutus, come." Her voice was weak but clear. The lead dog approached cautiously, his eyes still fixed on Sheba in the enclosure. The other 7 followed, forming a protective circle around their injured handler. "Good boy. You all did so good today. Such good dogs." Rebecca leaned her head against Brutus's solid bulk, finally allowing herself to feel the magnitude of what had just happened. "You trusted me even when every instinct told you to fight. That's what saved us all." As the paramedics worked on her injuries, Rebecca kept her eyes on Sheba. The lioness was watching her through the bars, her expression impossible to read, but somehow different than before. If Rebecca didn't know better, she would swear that Sheba looked grateful. 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and deep lacerations on her left arm later, Rebecca was sitting in the sanctuary's medical office, heavily medicated but refusing to leave until she had checked on Sheba one more time. Marcus tried to argue, but he knew it was pointless. They walked to Sheba's enclosure together as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The lioness was still on her platform, but she raised her head when she heard Rebecca's footsteps. "Hey, beautiful," Rebecca said softly, standing just outside the bars. "How are you doing?" Sheba rose and padded to the front of her enclosure. She pressed her face against the bars, as close to Rebecca as the metal would allow. Her eyes were calm now, peaceful, the wild panic completely gone. "I know what happened today was scary. For both of us." Rebecca raised her good hand and let Sheba rub her massive head against her palm through the bars. "But I want you to know something. I would do it again, every single time, because you're worth it. You're worth the broken ribs and the fear and everything else." Sheba made that soft, chuffing sound again, then did something she had never done before in 3 years at the sanctuary. She began to lick Rebecca's hand through the bars, her rough tongue gentle despite its size. It was a gesture of grooming, of social bonding, of acceptance. It was a lioness's way of saying thank you, and I trust you, and you are part of my pride. Rebecca stood there until full dark, her hand being groomed by a 400-pound predator, her 8 guardian dogs lying peacefully at her feet, and felt something profound settle in her chest. She had risked everything today, had put her body between opposing forces that could have torn her apart, had trusted her training, her instincts, and most importantly, had trusted in the bond she had built with a traumatized animal that everyone else had given up on. "You're going to be okay, Sheba," she whispered as Marcus gently insisted it was time to go. "We're all going to be okay." And as Rebecca finally allowed herself to be led away to rest, she looked back one last time to see Sheba standing at the front of her enclosure, watching her caretaker leave with those intelligent amber eyes. The lioness lifted one massive paw and placed it against the bars, holding it there until Rebecca disappeared around the corner. It was a gesture that needed no translation, a promise between two souls who had faced death together and chosen trust instead. A moment of connection that transcended species, transcended fear, transcended everything that should have made it impossible. In the years that followed, people would ask Rebecca why she did it, why she risked her life for an animal that could have killed her. And she would always smile and give the same answer, because love and trust are never safe, but they are always worth it.